That is the sound of the jar of names, which, again, for a third week in a row, I've broken. That might not be correct, but still. Anyway, this video is for everyone, including but not excluded to Horia. That's right, so thank you for commenting. If you want to get in jar of names, keep commenting on Cup of Adventure videos. Anyway, let's begin with a Cup of Tea podcast. This is the Cup of Tea. And this is the podcast. It's black tea today. Anyway, if you want to head down to the comment section, sometime in the future there'll be a skip list where you can skip to this week's update, this week's topic, this week's question, and this week's goal. But we're going to start with the update now. First things first, we are still behind. We'll talk about it in goals later, but it did not work. I'm still uploading late Let's Play videos. We're sort of staying at that same sort of thing. I seem to be doing a podcast every Thursday, so at least we're not getting worse. We're just sort of staying like a week and a half behind. But hopefully this week, we'll talk about later, because as things have happened, it might actually help. The other thing is, and I can't remember who it was, I want to say Bernard Tamir, it was, commented on my Let's Play, not Let's Play, live stream video, saying, where was the live stream? Because A, it got moved until the week after because I was ill, and then on the Wednesday, I just decided I could use that time a lot better just to catch up with videos rather than doing the live stream. So unfortunately, I just cancelled it. I didn't even get a chance to say anything because unfortunately my internet went down as well. So which is lucky because I couldn't have done the live stream because the internet went down. Yeah, which is why I couldn't say anything. And I deleted the video about the live stream before I got a chance to reply to you, Bernard Tamir. So if you're watching this, that is why I did it. It's because I felt I could do a lot better, use that time more efficiently by getting caught up, which is hopefully what's going to happen this week, which it should happen, which we'll talk about later in goals. I just need to get to this week's big document that says all of the stuff that we need. It's loading up, and then we'll go on to this week's topic. It's just loading up. Anyway, we're going to talk about the videos we've got this week. Obviously today we've got the podcast. That's what I listen to right now. That was a cup of tea with the podcast. Right, so what we got this week. So probably what's going to happen is we're going to have Dark Chronicle videos first, and then we'll have Fable 2 videos, because I don't know how fast I'm going to be able to get the Fable 2 things edited, but I'll let you know what's going on. So we're going to have a Dark Chronicle episode first called Cave of Death, have a guess about what happens, and then we'll have another one called Weak Monica, because there's a problem with Monica's weapons that we have, and unfortunately it takes a long while to get sorted. Then after that we'll have a Dark Chronicle video called Snake Coat. Think about type of enemy, and the coat thing is more of like a channel lore thing of how I connect this snake to my own snake in my channel lore type thing. That makes sense, doesn't it? Then after that we'll have another one called Cave In. Why did I call it Cave In? I can't remember why I called it Cave In actually. It's been a while since I edited it. Obviously we're in a cave, so maybe it's because I'm in a cave. And then we'll have one called Time Warp. Have a guess about what happens there. We go back in time because we go the Time Warp again. And then after that we have probably one of my favourite Dark Chronicle videos in a while. We got past the dungeon, so we're at the end now. But it's called Shingura Social Structure. Now this single episode is sort of like directing my sort of content from this moment on. Like the whole channel thing, I think I do it a little bit too much. Like it's too on the nose, where I think I need to be a little bit more subtle about it, so it's not too weird and awkward. So in this one, I basically... By the way, it's also a really good title because it's all alliteration. SS and S, it's great. But yeah, basically in this one, I sort of try to break down the social structure of the Shingura herd. Like you have... I say that it's like a harem. Like there's one male with a harem of females and the children, obviously. And I worked that out before I even speak to the guy. Because when I speak to him, you hear his voice, and it is a male. And I was like, it confirmed what I put together, and I'm like, yes, got it right. And I loved that sort of like natural philosophy, sort of like zoology type thing of doing it in the Let's Play. That makes sense. So that's what I want to sort of try and do in the future, like play with that element when I'm discussing like a channel lore, rather than be like, I want to take one back and call it something, because I feel like that one's a little bit too forced in a way and weird. Yeah, so I feel like the other way around. It's more, I think, more intellectual. Because I know it's the video game characters, but they definitely fit, you know? That's probably more development I put in trying to work out what they made, and they didn't even think about that in the first place. That makes no sense. Anyway, and then after that we'll have No, we won't. Go back to the beginning. Then after that we'll have Fable 2 videos. They'll be called Hob Problem, because for some reason I felt like that sounded like no problem, and I mean, I like the title, but it doesn't sound like No Problem. And then we'll have one more called something which I don't know yet, I haven't edited, and I haven't picked a title. But then we'll have a pointing episode called Bowerstone 1. I believe this is a very long one, but we'll see how well that turns out. Like I said, I'm not too bothered about putting a longer pointing episode if it's better. Hopefully, we'll see. Right, so now that's all of the topic stuff. We can go straight on now onto the community watch stuff. Right, so Mention Monday. These are the people that commented on last week's videos. And I say last week, 'cause it probably was a week, but it's since the last podcast anyway. So let's get ready to shout out these names. I'm just changing my piece of paper around so I can get ready for the next bits. Yeah, so this week we thank Max Ravage, Horia, Captain RH, Bernard Termere, Dragonlord 55511, Overlord Master, and Angelica Bao. So thank you all for commenting. I think we only have one spam bot. I'm looking at somebody in particular. But yeah, apart from that, everyone had some great comments. Nice to see Horia's. Horia's always on every video. So thank you very much for that, my friend. Anyway, now we're going to go on to Q&A, I believe. I think it is. And we've got one question this week from Overlord Master who says, will you do a funny moments montage? It depends on how you mean that. If you mean like I would call it the cop-out, like Toby Turner did on Toby Games, where it's like Toby Games Highlights or whatever it was called. I feel like that's just like a cop-out of like, oh, I can't bother to do content. Well, it's just reusing old content when you don't need to do that, because you've already got it in the main Let's Play or whatever you want to call it. So in that sense, probably no, I don't think I will, because I feel like that's too much of a cop-out. Obviously, it's, if that's what they want to do, that's fair enough. But for me, I feel like it's a cop-out. But what I was talking about last podcast, which is why I think you've asked this question, is I will play a normal game and say in that Let's Play episode, I go into a dungeon and I only keep in the best bits while I'm in that dungeon. That'll be the first time you've seen that. It'll be like a quick montage of the things that happened in the dungeon rather than keeping in the whole dungeon. I've tested it out in a few videos you'll see in the future in Dark Chronicle. I clearly label when it is going to be, and I do it like a little bit of a test where I cut out walking and just do the enemies and stuff, and it seems to be a lot better. Like I can do 2 floors in one episode as opposed to 1 floor in one episode, so it does make a difference in terms of that. Maybe I'll take it a bit further, I'm not sure, but yeah, in terms of montages, possibly in Let's Plays, in the actual episodes themselves, in a mixed normal playing, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, long answer is a yes, short answer is no. Anyway, right, let's go on to subscribers this week. So last week we were at 1,367. This week we've gone up 8 names to 1,375. That seems a lot. Again, it could be a bug, although I always say that, and so far we haven't gone down, so fingers crossed. Anyway, we welcome 3 new names this week. We welcome to the community Xavian Guess, Wolfie the Wolf, and Dio the Ryklos 1. I have no idea what a Ryklos is, but you are one. Anyway, yeah, welcome to everybody this week. If you have... I don't know what a question I could ask. If you like Toby Games, let me know. Or Toby Turner, should we say, or Tobuscus, whatever he's going by now. Anyway, let's carry on now to question. Last week's question, we got a lot of responses from some good meaty comments that I love to discuss, break down and sort of take into consideration. The question was, officially, I can't remember, it was something like, do you find my things boring, was it? Or was it something similar? Oh yes, how can I make my Let's Play videos less boring? And that's why some people said they're not boring. Right, let's go through this list then. Max Ravage says, honestly, he enjoys my dungeon gameplay, being as uncut as possible. He enjoys hearing me talk about all kinds of things I do when while I play, basically. Which I do agree with. I do like doing that, but I do feel like it's like, what's that one thing? There's something going on around on the internet where it's like something in candy, playing candy, something maybe. And it's like, that's what you want, but it's not what you need type thing. And I'm thinking, in terms of that, with keeping it as uncut as possible, I think that's not the direction to go. I do think I will have to do some cutting in, just to make it a little bit more concise. That's the main word here, conciseness. Like, it's no point keeping in something where I haven't got anything to say, which I know you've just said you enjoy, but I feel like it will be better just to cut it down a little bit, so then it's a little less candy and rather an apple. But everybody doesn't like apples. But basically, yeah, I think that's the one. I need to be more concise, just to make them a little bit more progressive and less repetitive, I want to say. So yes, unfortunately, I might change that for that. Staying on that same sort of line, Horia has came in with 2 responses. I might have to cut this down. One says, ignore what Max has said, which I do agree with in some respects, even though I am taking what Max said into consideration. But you're saying that the rule of thumb should be, unless something changes after the first 3 sections of the dungeon, start editing out the boring and repetitive parts, which I do agree with in this, I think. And even things that new monsters are interesting, loot, blah blah blah, keeping the interesting things basically. Which yeah, I did try to do in some future Dark Chronicle videos, as I've said. I think it did work, but I sort of did it a little bit less than what you've said there. Like, I keep in the monsters, but when I have to travel a lot, I cut it out more so than what I did before, and it does seem to make a difference. So maybe that is a good way to go. But obviously, let me know what you think. And now this bit here is sort of still related to what Max was saying, but it's also something that I want to disagree with Horia and sort of play towards with Max, if that makes sense. Basically, you're saying that about the live streams aren't the answer to do like collectibles and stuff. You're saying that you don't like to be able to. Let me just get this correct, make sure I'm right. You say you feel like you're obligated to stop what you're doing and watch them, which I can agree with because it's a certain date. The only problem with that, I would say, is they do sometimes get saved in archive form. I would probably do them mostly on YouTube, I think, because I like to keep them on there, and they'll be saved onto YouTube. I will always try to save them, if not, even if I have to record them. So you can always watch them at your own sort of times. But basically, I'm thinking that live streams are more for what Max was saying, where he likes to see me talk about random stuff. And I think the culture behind the live stream is more long plays, less cuts, because obviously you can't cut a live stream. So I feel like I will probably do live streams in the future, and that's where what Max wants will come into play. Yes, so that's probably something I'll discuss later in the future, but for now, won't be trying to get caught up and sort of sorted before I start anything new. But that's probably what's going to help Max with his wanting to see like mundane chatter while I'm playing, that sort of thing, if you know what I mean. Right, we've still got loads more, but it's a big question, lots of meaty comments. Captain RH says, I don't feel like your videos are boring, thank you very much. Sure, they're not action-packed. Yes, I agree. That's not my style. Compared to other YouTubers, but that's the reason why you subscribed. If you would like to try and attract a different audience, then you can always make a highlight video once every so often. Don't think I will, because I said that's kind of I feel like that's a cop-out for me personally. Maybe throw in gameplay of different games, or make a highlight every so often for each gameplay that's going on. I feel that will be a good way to give this approach while maintaining your old style. I believe I played all the Assassin's Creed games. That's something else different, yeah. Right, so I said about the highlights already. I'm thinking the direction I want to go, because I've been looking at line to see what other people have been doing, just to see how they do their structures and stuff. A lot of the famous, like, big gaming YouTubers have, like, the top 10 are all, like, very quick videos, apart from the Ogscast. But most people do very quick videos, like between 10 to 20 minutes, sometimes even less than that. And I think that they're more popular because a lot more people have a lot less time these days, so they quickly pop on to see them. And judging from what I do, it's not my style. I won't be able to do short videos. That's not what I want to do. I want to do more longer videos, which I'm looking at people like Lomadia, like Hannah from the Oddcast, and like Jesse Cox, who I enjoy. Other people like that. They always do long videos. Like Jesse Cox's bits, I'm not sure how he does his, but sometimes they can go from like 20 minutes up to like 50 minutes, sometimes even more. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do, and we'll talk about that later in this week's question, is do more of that style. So like, I won't be one of those quick people that does the quick videos. I'll be doing long videos, but we'll talk about that in a second because I have something related to say about that for this week's question. Bernard Tamir says, you don't think my playstyle is boring? Thank you. One of the reasons that you like your videos are the details, like me to be detailed. This is due to the reason that you usually, as far as he knows, misses things when he plays them his first time. So it's nice to go back and see things. And you're saying pretty much the same about the highlight videos as Captain RH. A lot of people really like it. Maybe you can do a combination. Yes, so I think that's probably about the same thing. Highlight videos I probably won't do. But what was the other bit? Sorry, I've completely forgot. The detail bit. Yeah, I do like the detail. Like, I do like to keep everything in, but I think cutting out the really useless parts, like the walking, grinding. But here's something I've really discovered from trying to sort all this out. Depends on the game. Something like Assassin's Creed, you can clearly cut out the collectibles, the grinding, all that stuff. But the story missions you can't really cut out because they're sort of like linear anyway. Maybe if you have to travel to the other side of the map, I can cut that out. But everything else, I can't really do that. Something like Dark Chronicle, most of the game is just in a dungeon, so you can't really cut out most of that. Like, if it was Assassin's Creed, you could probably cut that out, but you can't in Dark Chronicle because that is the bulk of the game. It would just be left with the cutscenes and stuff. And I'm not doing a cutscene series because that's not what I do. So I think you have to take in different accounts depending on what the game you're playing is. And I think that's what I'm going to have to try and develop and like plan which games I'm going to do in the future, and then change my style, not my play style, but my style of how I'm making the videos based on the game I'm playing. And finally, Dragonlord5551 says, I personally like your style of gaming. Thank you. I do not think that you should change anything. There is always room for improving them, but if you think you could change your style, everyone has their own style and opinions about everything, including gaming. I believe you should just keep your ways of gaming and go with the flow. Yeah, I would love to know what you, like when you say that there's always room for improving them, I would love to know what you think, because that's what I'm trying to put together here, like what would make them better. However, I do agree with what you're saying about my own style. Like, I think I would always stay my own style, but it'll be a more refined style. Like, say someone's style is to, I don't know, a good example here actually. Say a runner, they do like a 100-meter sprint. No, that's not a good example. Okay, think about. There's got to be a good example here. I'm thinking more of like a conglomerate. Is it conglomerate? No. Horizontal, vertical. Horizontally. What's the word? I know some people think they don't know this word. Horizontally orientated in terms of businesses, where if you're vertically oriented, you own like the shoe factory that makes the shoes. You also own the place where they get the leather and everything you need. You own everything to make that one product. I think is how that works. And then you got horizontal, where you own like a shoe places that make the shoe, places that make, I don't know, tea bags, that sort of thing. So I'm thinking that's completely irrelevant. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the whole point of that was be more refined. Like I say, I do my style, but I sort of... No, okay, a better example is losing weight. You know, I have my style, so that's me like a big... You know, say, I don't know how big is big, but, you know, say overweight, that's my style. And then if I trim down and lose a bit of weight and it becomes more slimlined, that will be my refined style. Does that make sense? Yeah. That makes sense. I'm going to go with that. I'm just going to carry on going because I'm going to get into a deep hole that I'm never going to get out of. And this video is already getting long. Okay, so this week's comment. No, that's later on. This week's question, because it's the one after this one. So based on what Captain RH was saying, I believe, yes it was, and Bernard Tamir as well, in terms of my style, and I was saying about not doing shorter videos, staying to the longer videos. Ages ago we were saying about when I go to uni I'm going to try and cut back on content so it's easier for me to keep on top of it, and I said I was going to do 3 episodes of games a week plus like the vlog and the couple adventure video. I'm thinking of doing that sooner rather than later because I think that's a good way to do it. And when I was talking about the 3 episodes a week, obviously that's cutting down, well, exclude Dark Chronicles because that's a special case because that's got like, it can only do 15-minute episodes. I'm thinking what I can do with with videos is have them 40 minutes each, but they'll only be 3 a week, so they're bigger videos and bigger content, but overall it's less a week, and I feel like that might be more appealing to people coming in, because otherwise if you come to my channel you see like there's a load of videos like 30 to 40 minutes long and you're like, ooh no, I ain't got time to watch that. However, if I feel like there's like 3 40-minute episodes, you're more inclined to watch that because it's less content a week, it's less of a content drop. I feel like that's a good idea. I feel that's a good idea to do this. So let me know what you think about that idea. Do you think the 40-minute 3 episodes a week is a good thing, or do you prefer like the big massive content drops? Because I don't think that's a good thing to do. I think that's unhealthy. It's like eating sweets all the time. Not saying my videos are sweet, but you know what I mean. It's like the shorter and less often is better than the like 30-minute 5 a week. I mean, obviously if I do 40-minute episodes a week, it'll be half an hour less of content, but I'm going to do less content anyway, and I feel that's the best. Let me know what you think. I'm going to move on now because I'm getting too off topic, but I keep talking, I can't shut up. Anyway, this week's comment, now we can talk about that. So this week's comment goes to Horia, who made me smile, because he said in one of my videos, it was a time code for Dark Chronicle, I think it was, 11:37, he says, I see what you did there, because I think I made a Beyond Good and Evil quote, and he says, and I raise you, Carson and Peters, which is obviously another quote from Beyond Good and Evil, and it's just, the Carson and Peters made me smile, made me happy. So that's why Horia got this week's comment, because it just makes me happy, that quote. I like it. Carson and Peters. I'm also going to be saying it all day now. Thanks. Okay, goals now. So, it was a fail last week. Said to get the next podcast done by Sunday. Did not work. Sorry about that. No excuses, just not getting it done. I've been busy this week, to be fair, though. This week's goal is to get the next podcast out by Sunday, the third week in a row. However, there's one big difference this week. I've actually got a lot of videos edited already. The only things I have to edit before the next podcast is the 2 Fable episodes, which is possible because I'll probably do them tonight, and then they'll be out, and then I can upload and stuff. I've already got 3 to 4, maybe 5? 5? Have I got 5? No, kind of 5. Okay, I might have 5 Dark Chronicle videos all ready to upload, so as soon as this podcast goes up, they'll be up hopefully soon after, depending on the internet. So hopefully it'll actually work, and then we can get back caught up next week, which is what I want to do, but we'll see. Anyway, that is it for this week. Sorry for the long podcast, but I feel like we've had a nice discussion about the direction of this channel, which is what I love to talk about, so probably why I've talked about it a lot. Anyway, so last week's What Film... I can't remember the full quote, but it was something like he was known as Megos Alexandros. And Bernard Tamir said he didn't know the film, but he knew it was something about Alexander the Great, which is exactly true. And the film is actually called Alexander. Yeah, so you were technically right because you got the right film. Yeah, it was a really good film. I remember the first time I saw it, it was very long, and I loved it because I was ill, and I absolutely enjoyed it. And it's just a good film. There's so many moments in it which are like, yeah, I like that. Also, Jared Leto. Is that his name? I think so, yeah. He's in the film. Didn't even know at the time. This was before he was the Joker. I just noticed that the other day, and I'm like, oh, cool. Plus, there's also loads of actors you'll recognise, particularly if you watch Game of Thrones. Anyway, yeah, that's that film. Let's finish this cup of tea, then it's the black tea. Because I don't want the milk to get him. Because when you put the milk in, it's sort of like... If you got like a... I don't know what the right word is. Sometimes it can sit in the back of your throat, and it's like... If it's like a lump in your throat sort of thing. So that's why I decided to have black tea, because it's nice. Anyway... That's it for this week. I'm going to go before I start talking again. But until the next time we meet, I will say farewell. Please answer this week's question, because I love to sort of pick a direction of where we're going. I feel like we're getting somewhere, but that's that. So I will leave you now with What Film? You know, sometimes all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage.